Welcome to the Manhattan Project. This is day 13. I watched the new Netflix release, The Sweet Life, and because it's a Netflix thing, I don't even know if we have that much vlog footage, because it wasn't a theater, it was my place, yo. But that doesn't mean we didn't try to go see a movie in a theater. Here's the story.
So what theater are we at right now, Evan?
We're not out of theater because the Moviepass app has completely crashed. Too many people have been...
That's funny because it was crashed yesterday. You'd think they'd fix it, right? You'd think, right?
You'd think.
So how are we going to do a new movie review every single day?
Well, good thing we got Netflix, and we got a couple movies that just came out this week, so we're going to start watching those. It's a movie called The Sweet Life with Chris Messina in it. So, The Sweet Life is a new Netflix release. It was at the LA Film Festival last year about two depressed people who meet up in Chicago because they both have the same therapist. They discovered this while meeting on the street and decide to drive together on a road trip to San Francisco to commit suicide at the Golden Gate Bridge. A road trip suicide dramedy. Take a look at the trailer.
How long do you think it would take to get to the Golden Gate Bridge?
Why the Golden Gate Bridge?
I think you know.
How's this gonna work?
I haven't thought it through.
Do you have an ATM in here?
He has a gun.
What?
What?
You got a gun.
We're lying.
We're not.
We're lying.
We're not.
Can I see it? There's a strict policy on robberies. Unless they see a gun on that camera, they don't believe that it's a robbery.
Anyway, my expectations going in were decently strong because I like the actor Chris Messina, who's in one of the lead roles, and the premise was interesting to me. John wanted to watch it because he actually wrote a short story that's kind of similar to the premise, sort of, but not really. But anyway, we were involved that way. The Sweet Life is an underdeveloped road trip movie that benefits from some good set pieces but loses points for its strange and probably inaccurate depiction of depression. So yeah, I don't personally have any mental health issues, but I have to imagine that the way that this movie handles it isn't perfect. I only say that because the movie seems to rely a lot on plot contrivances with the way that people would experience the world to power what goes on in the decisions that the characters make. They're two complete strangers who for some reason choose to trust each other despite being at like a rock bottom point in their lives. That basic idea of two strangers getting a car together is a really good one for a comedy, but if we're supposed to empathize with them on like a really human level, it makes it harder to fly with almost anything. That being said, let's talk about a few things I did like in the movie. I liked most of the sort of fun road trip stuff that they have going on here. There's a really funny scene where they try to rob a convenience store because they don't have much money, and the guy thinks that they maybe have a gun and they don't. It leads to this whole motif throughout the entire movie of whether or not they have a gun with them. I think it's funny that people keep assuming that they have a gun with them because they're acting somewhat strange. For example, there's another scene where they want hitchhikers to get in the car, and the hitchhikers aren't about that, and then only get in the car because they think they're literally being kidnapped at implied gunpoint. So silly stuff like that actually kind of works. I feel like the more that this movie just played into that classic anything can happen on a road trip vibe, the better it did. Then some of the cut-tos of let's talk about our pain or whatever else didn't quite do it for me. And part, I think that does come down to the performances. Chris Messina had a pretty one-note version of guy who's really depressed. He's like a middle-aged man who works in an ice cream shop, and his default expression is to look just, one-note downtrodden. I'm not saying that real depressed people aren't downtrodden, but it's not very engaging when you don't really feel like he's reacting to the experiences that he's having very much. Maybe that is an accurate portrayal of depression, but then maybe that's not good for what's supposed to be a zany road trip movie. The movie also loses a few points when it gets to its inevitably predictable ending. When you have a movie about these two people connecting and getting to know each other and try to work through their problems, you can guess that they'll probably end the film in a slightly more cathartic way, which means that some of the stakes of whether or not they're going to kill themselves don't actually feel that real. It also doesn't help that the co-lead role, performed by Abigail Spencer, is a little bit thin, to be honest. She's there to be sort of like the Manic Pixie Dream Girl character who can shock Chris Messina into somewhat more life. Like, yes, she's depressed, but she's the more energetically depressed one, I guess. So a lot of the movie's contrivances and, once again, sort of climactic tension moments are put on her shoulders as the one who would do the crazy stuff. She's still interested in trying to kill herself. She's still interested in having a real gun or whatever else that they do in the movie. So that made it a bit unfortunate. I'm sorry that I don't have anything too much more profound to say about the movie because, as you know from our vlog footage, it was a crazy night. We ended up doing this really late while trying to deal with a whole bunch of other things. John was cooking during it. Oh, look at him go.
I watched like the first act of this movie, and then I went and cooked a nice stir fry. But what I did see of the film was kind of bland. That's all I have to say.
So as far as a potential recommendation for this movie goes, I think there are a few people out there who kind of like this middle ground mix of comedy and drama. But I think you're either going to find yourself drawn to one or the other. You might like the performances better than I did. You might like the depiction and the conversations people have about depression and suicide better than I did. Or maybe you'd be on board with me where you think that some of the comedic ideas are a little bit funnier and a little bit more, charged with verve. On the whole, this movie is like, a bag of jelly beans where some of them are really gross and some of them are just fine and maybe one of them is really good. But you're like, why the fuck did I buy jelly beans?
Could have gotten goddamn airheads.
That's right.
So that's like a 1 out of 4.
Yeah, pretty much. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We are The Manhattan Project. That means we're going to review a new movie every single day. So we're going to be back tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day,
They didn't
and the
make us
next
sign
day.
non-disclosure agreements because it wasn't a test screening.